What are you drinking?
Diet Coke.
Diet Coke. That's fucking synchronicity, man. Rachel's just sent me a weird TikTok about Diet Coke containing aspartame.
Mate, we've known it's contained aspartame for decades.
Yeah, and that it's now a carcinogen 2B or something. I don't know. I was going to go and
If
get
that's what gives me cancer, that's what
then
gives me
so be
cancer.
it.
It's my one, apart from like the odd like boozy night, it's my only real vice is cans of Diet Coke, cold cans of Diet Coke.
Yeah, and then that fact, just before we start, I'm going to go and get we've got something like an offshoot of it that it's sugar free in that because we're just trying to just cut down on sugar in general.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm the same. Coke Zero. If there's something that I'm allowed that I will have that I know willingly isn't good for me, it'll be.
I've cut down on all the other stuff I used to put in my body. So
yeah. I'm just like super conscious of everything I eat over here now. Before I pick something off of a shelf in a gas station, I look at how much. If it's got like more than fucking 12 grams of sugar in it, I'm just like, no thanks.
Someone put a post on Instagram, and this is quite good for the podcast actually, so it can stay in. Comparing the same stacks in America and the UK, and the ingredients lists, how different they are for the same thing. Yeah. It's like in America, there's like 500 ingredients for something that's like Monster Munch or whatever, and it's like in England, it's maize and flavoring, and then that's it. Whereas in America, it's like an G.A.N.Z.I xenobofolius and
fucking some oil from a seed that is used to lubricate fucking car engines and shit like that.
It's like how many can we get? How much calories and toxins can we get in this food?
It's fucking the worst one they have over here is that Red 40.
I Red believe 40?
It's a dye. It's a synthetic dye that's used to obviously just create a color in like drinks and shit like that, and it's hugely carcinogenic. It's banned in Europe via the European Union, which I still hope we've banned it over in the UK because I've never heard of it in the UK, i.e. clearly you haven't, but it's in fucking everything over here and it's bad. Like it's not good.
Yeah.
Right, bear with me. Let me go and get my drink. I'll be a sec.
Cool. I'll cut this bit out now.
What happens when it comes to it?
In the thing.
Oh, maybe they did. So in the back, there isn't a light brown jacket. Cool story.
We're not the first. We definitely won't be the last. We'd like to welcome you. Not another conspiracy cast.
Or will I? Who knows? You might just have this bit in the podcast because I'll forget to cut it out. So I'll keep talking so it's not dead air. But I'm just going to break it to you now in the secret bit here. We're not going to be doing the moon landing. But the title would have given that away. But we're going to chat about something even more probably fake. But Dean doesn't know that I think it's fake. So if he does listen to this podcast after, he'll probably hear this bit where I say, I don't believe any of it. We didn't have his headphones on. Nice.
Right, I'm all gravy, baby.
Cool. Well, I left a little message in there that I don't know if I'll cut out or not.
Oh, what, in the notes?
Listeners. No, just a little message while you went to the toilet, because this is recording.
Oh, right.
I'll cut it out or not. But I didn't want to leave dead air in case I did forget to cut it out.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Well, we're back.
With a stonker.
Yeah, and once again, we've pushed that moon episode back again. It's only 13 months now, but we've been waiting for it.
I mean, the moon's always going to be there, like, i.e. the conspiracy side.
Yeah, we don't know if the moon's always going to be there.
Well, yeah. There's a lot of fun that you can have with the moon. I know that it's not quite relevant at the moment. It was an episode that we were just going to pertain to just having a bit of fun with. It'd be nice if JJ's able to find some time for that one, because I feel like he would be a good asset with regards to a lot of the shit that's contained in that conspiracy.
I think he probably doesn't believe the moon exists.
No.
The moon is actually just a a theory that's out there to make people believe in this or whatever.
It's a
JJ's
figment of your imagination, man.
Yeah, that's probably what JJ thinks.
Yeah, but welcome everybody to a new episode. As Ben mentioned, push the moon episode aside because the whole UAP disclosure thing at the moment is moving so fast it's horrifying.
It's insane.
It's funny as well because one of the patrons as well, and a good friend of the podcast, Dustin, me and him have been talking like sort of off recording and whatnot.
Chats, little black project chats.
little black project chats. And the both of us have been saying that, well, he was saying that he had heard through the grapevine that a lot of this is going to be, or a lot of it is going to be over and open by the end of the summer.
You reckon?
I was like, are you sure? You sure? Well, I think he's right because the shit's flying off the shelves. It feels like with legislation, new information, but new theories, new people coming forward. But as we do on this podcast anyway, what I will recommend for everybody listening is at some point,
never listen to us.
Yeah, never. Don't take anything gospel, but open your, and I like to think that people listening to this are capable of doing so, but you really need to disconnect yourself from the understanding of our own reality and physics for one segment in this episode because it gets you thought the last episode, if anyone's listening that listened to the last episode about that YouTube comment, you ain't heard shit yet. You have not heard anything.
If you thought that was creepypasta.
What you've got entities and the fact of that we do not matter to look forward to in this episode.
Well, apparently we as a podcast don't matter according to some of the people in the comments after the last episode. Someone also said, rubbing your fake tan, but I don't know who was talking to.
Probably referring to me, but that's because I work outdoors in 30 degrees centigrade like temperature every single day for the last like month. And here, for instance, I can prove it. Look at that tan line with my hat.
Yeah, rub it in, mate.
I'm wearing the work hat.
Rub it in. You need to rub that in. Yeah, we've had. I mean, for the first time in our history, we've had really negative comments about
which is
that,
good.
and it was all about the Grush stuff. It was all the Grush stuff that got negative.
Bring it on.
Is that a disinformation program going, and they're trying to?
Well, you don't quite know where it what grassroots that disinformation artists would be working. I mean, if I would expect that you would get
this is where is that right? People need to go this low. They would you probably if you're going to start, if you want to infiltrate, you've got to then go right. Well, these are the podcasts that the people are doing. This isn't like in no way official. We're not connected to any media outlet. We just do it for fun. Once every 13 to 14 months, we'll do an episode. I mean, this is unheard of for us to do two in a month. It's pretty much 2 in a month.
Yeah, but it makes sense if you're going to start trying to lead the narrative in a completely different direction. You have to start from the ground up. Yeah.
Again, that could go both ways. It could be that Grush is our last episode of Grush. Like I said, it could be a different. I got the vibe that he could be a disinformation agent. Mm-hmm. But then now the episode we're about to talk about now, which is more disclosure, more UAP stuff, more whistleblower things, that actually is quite a secretive one, right? This is not like, and when I read this article that we're going to talk about, actually only had 197 views.
Yeah, at the time. Yeah. So, but it's beginning to, it's definitely gaining traction because I read his second article that he posted, and he's obviously got a lot of traction and traffic on Reddit. A lot of pushback, obviously, but a lot of. I'm open to everything at this point.
As I walked down the stairs to go and let the delivery guy in to get my Burger King that I rushed ate because I was starving because I've been out all day. I walked past my 3 posters that I've got as I go down the stairs at the studio saying, I want to believe, I want to believe, I want to believe. And for a very long time recently, I've not been believing. So I think it's time I need to believe again.
Yeah.
I find it very hard because I feel like I believe that everyone is lying. That's what I believe.
Well, Senator Mark Rubio put it very good in the sense of saying, he was asked on, I can't remember, I think it was News Nation. They were saying that, so where do we go from here? What is the situation? And he was saying, well, there's two ways we can look at this. It's either one, David Grush and his colleagues and his other whistleblowers that have then testified in front of senators with photos and videos and who are of high credibility and of high clearance, they are either one, telling the truth, and therefore we need to get to the bottom of this, or two, there are people in high places in the US government with high control, high clearances, high credibility that are incapable of being in the positions that they are because they're making shit up.
Yeah.
So they're either telling the truth or they're telling the truth and the fabric of our reality is ready to just be torn into pieces. Or secondly, the US government, the leaders of the free world are incompetent and are literally just having a lol fest within these departments of defense.
Yeah.
The
It's
Air
either
Force.
true or it's not, but someone's saying stuff. So
And it's horrifying. Either of the answers are horrifying.
Yeah.
Either the most powerful government on the planet is having a ruse and a laugh, or the most powerful government on the planet actually fucking has shit that really we should all be talking about.
Well,
It should
even
be frontline news.
So the stuff we're about to talk about today, which is I don't know who the guy wrote. His name's Steven something. I think his name was
Steven Serger, if I recall rightly, the second article I've
he
got
says
through
Steven Serger,
only. I've only just got through the second article. It doesn't
but it's more of a
contain
like
too
a
much
this is why it wasn't really a part two, and more of a like actually it's the truth. This is why it's true actually. And he's the editor in chief of UAP Max News.
That's correct.
Which is a website. It's a new website, pretty fresh website, but it's a very well written article. He goes on about in his second in part two that people said that it was unprofessional and the grammar was poor, but actually it read really nicely. It was so I could actually read it and go, I followed all of this all the way through to the end, and at no point have I gone, this makes no sense. This is just the ramblings, or with a massive ad, or like step away from like the loads of hyperbole, and what's the other thing? There was no like going off on tangents. It was all very like, this is what I want to talk about.
To the
this
point,
is what
black
I've heard.
and white.
Very to the point. And we're gonna go through this article. If you haven't read it already, you're not going to need to, because we're going to deep dive it.
But prior to the article, I'm also going to brush upon the legislation of literally the UAP Disclosure Act that has recently come forward. But Ben, introduce the show so we can get this going.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to another episode of Not Another Conspiracy Podcast with Dean Salter in Detroit, Michigan.
Hello.
Fresh off his Ed Sheeran gig and surprise Eminem appearance, which blew my mind, even though I knew it was coming because you'd already posted a picture of it. When they actually Ed Sheeran did his little shit version of that Mum Spaghetti bit, and then it just went, holy shit, that's Eminem doing that, mate. That must have been a pop. There must have been a massive pop. It was like Stone Cold's music hitting. That was
quite literally. The biggest pop of it all, though, was when he finished their rendition of Stan, and he was obviously just leaving the stage and everything, moving on from there. The roar, I have never witnessed noise that loud. I've heard jets and shit like that, but physically, the physical human roar inside a stadium, the volume decibel, I wouldn't even. It was clearly unhealthy. Definitely, because both me and Rachel had our fingers in our ears and our drums were still rattling. But that was
hometown show, right?
Yeah, hometown show. And I've even got a Mum Spaghetti shirt on. Check that out. I had to go and buy it when I was there. Beautiful. But as well, all the way in Southend-on-Sea, head of the podcast, host, main voice of the hour, Mr. Ben Mills.
Voice of a generation,
harboring a non-digested Burger King in his stomach right now.
I just had cooked a brisket for 24 hours and ate that yesterday. So
beautiful. Okay,
loads of undigested
meat
animal products. I think I'm gonna have to go back on my vegan diet again after for a couple of weeks just to kind of get through it.
Okay, so the title of this episode, I'm just going to read it straight from the notes as we've had it, is UAP Disclosure Act. Aliens are here. Biden met them. They are not friendly.
So this is if Joe Biden told you he'd met aliens, you just go, you're a lunatic. You haven't. What you've done is you've met a small child that may have been wearing green.
Did you sniff them too?
Yeah, have you sniffed their hair? But if someone says that Biden has met them, then you're like, okay, maybe it's not true. But if Joe Biden was to tell you he'd met them, you wouldn't believe him because he's a loony.
A loony, he's absolute.
He's a dementia. He's a man with dementia, and he shouldn't be in control of a country.
Free world.
Yeah,
exactly. So I'm going to begin the notes off. I'm going to paraphrase a lot of what is enclosed in this legislation, but also because it's a 64 amendment bill. But as we go through, we'll be picking out some of the most important things that are pros and cons for the situation. So with the whistleblowing and claims from CIA intelligence officer David Grush of secret UAP programs existing within the government, Vice Chairman of the Senate Intelligence Committee, Marco Rubio, claiming that high-ranking U.S. government officials have first-hand knowledge of secret Pentagon crash retrieval program, and most recently, Senator Majority Leader Chuck Schumer leading efforts to establish a commission to declassify everything that the US government has with regards to the unidentified anomalous phenomena, it's safe to say that the possibility of the greatest story in human history is running away from us all at this moment, which
it's insane.
It's moving so damn fast.
It's more insane than the actual story of the X-Files.
Yeah, I'm quite shocked with how much traction has been made from the initial interview on News Nation with David Grush to now the fact that legislation's just been created and ready to be taken to Congress for the president to sign it. And the details are incredible. We're going to get to that right now. Yeah. So the amendments of the annual defense bill are quite literally named as the Unidentified Anomalous Phenomena Disclosure Act of 2023. Senator Schumer's amendment will seek to increase transparency around unidentified anomalous phenomena and further upon scientific research, according to a release that appeared on the Senate Democratic Majority website. Links to everything that we're talking about will be in the Discord, maybe in the show notes on Spotify.
Definitely in the Discord.
Yes, because this document is 64 pages long and it's all lawyer talk, as all legislation is. However, here's a few takeaways from the 64-paged amendment bill. First and foremost, all federal government records related to unidentified anomalous phenomena should be preserved and centralized for historical and federal government purposes. A second one, sorry, go on, Ben. Did you
but the fact that he's trying to do this, it's not gonna. There's no way anyone's gonna let this go through. It's insane.
It's too open. It feels.
They're gonna go right. We can't give you this. What we can do is just reclassify what a UAP is, and then give you the scraps. Is probably what will happen.
There is an amendment in there that alludes to exactly what you're thinking. It's just a little bit further down. However, I'll carry on. Where all federal government records concerning unidentified anomalous phenomena should carry a presumption of immediate disclosure, and all records should be eventually disclosed to enable the public to become fully informed about the history of the federal government's knowledge and involvement surrounding unidentified anomalous phenomena.
Yeah, we've been lying the whole time, and every time we said that you guys are crazy and we ruin people's lives, by just like going, oh, you believe in aliens, or you're a fucking loser, and then people have killed themselves because they've been mocked and dragged through the dirt because they've told the truth or they've told their story. Like Betty and Barney Hill, like that, they ruined their lives, right? Yep. Travis, what's his name? Travis Walton. Travis Walton. He's a broken man. Yeah, Lazar. Bob Lazar kind of get
stabled.
He's more stable, but he can't. Bob Lazar is still. I don't know if I believe him.
I do.
I believe him, but then the fact that he goes, "Oh, I didn't do this for any monetary gain," but then he's also selling Airfix models of a UFO that he.
Yeah.
He kind of he did it all right out of it, right? Whereas your Travis Waltons, your Barney Hills, even the people from Skinwalker Ranch, they didn't do great out of it. In fact, it's probably ruined their lives.
Yeah, exactly. And name the family on Skinwalker Ranch that were prevalent to most of the mystery. You don't know their name.
No.
They're so... Travis Walton, though, all right, he got a Hollywood movie and he's had his own book out of it, but at the same time, is still just a middle-of-the-road guy.
Yeah.
Sort of thing. Okay, next one. Legislation is necessary because credible evidence and testimony indicates that federal government unidentified anomalous phenomena records exist that have not been declassified or subject to mandatory declassification review as set forth in Executive Order 13526, which a little bit further details that I've removed from that basically alludes to the Freedom of Information Act.
Yeah.
And this one particularly interested me a lot because where it says legislation is necessary because credible evidence and testimony indicates that the federal government unidentified anomalous phenomena records exist. So that's clearly off of the back of Mr. Grush and a few
he's
others.
been testified in since March, I think.
That's it, yes.
Yeah.
And clearly there were a couple that didn't pass their vetting to find out, not that they weren't who they were, but apparently their clearances wasn't as high as initially what they were claiming. So those people were removed. However, what we have learned is those people that testified that then did not pass the vetting service were not associated to Grush, which is great. That's great news. Don't care who those other people. I would like to know the details, but maybe we will get them when this open hearing on the 26th actually happens. But it's nice because that part of the legislation is there saying we're convinced, so we're going forward with this.
Yeah. There's enough evidence to say that this shouldn't be hidden from the public, right?
Right, and that it is there. Okay, the next one. Legislation is necessary. This is another good one. Legislation is necessary because Section 552 of Title 5526 of Title 5 United States Code, commonly referred to as the Freedom of Information Act, as implemented by the executive branch of the federal government, has proven inadequate in achieving the timely public disclosure of government unidentified anomalous phenomena records that are subject to mandatory declassification review. That's fantastic from Schumer.
So that's them holding it back, right? People are
that's
purposely holding it back.
That's them sitting there saying, you're taking your time, you're dragging your heels, clearly on purpose. We're done with it. So it's positive. It's very, very positive. However, there was one piece of the legislation that Mr. Greenwald of the debrief, of the Black Vault .org brought up, and I'll just read the little subject that we've had here. The language of the amendment directs that all federal government records related to unidentified anomalous phenomena should be preserved and centralized for historical and federal government purposes, which you were saying is a bit concerning.
Well, that's all federal government records.
Which is
But obviously, a lot of this has been, and Grush has said that it's all done through private contractors.
Right, exactly.
So that's why I think it's like, oh well, they, all the federal government's records, and that all that will say is, we had a report of this on this thing, investigated.
It might not necessarily only just be that. I do believe that when it comes to federal government documents, I do believe that with incidents like Roswell, I can imagine that there are documents and very interesting details that are still being held within the government, whereas all of this private industry and stuff, I believe, might have come a little bit after. Once these incidents sort of started picking up traction, I'm just thinking this is just obviously, I don't know, I'm just thinking of the top of my
I guess
head.
so, because they were, everything was a government project that was on the books until just after the Manhattan Project, when they had to kind of start being a bit more careful with what they did, so they didn't have to disclose everything. So everything after the end of World War II into the Cold War, the Cold War is when they started putting everything into the little pockets, Halliburtons and
Lockheed Martin and stuff like that. Okay, so the Act also provides guidance for the creation of the Unidentified Anomalous Phenomena Records Collection and the National Archives and Records Administration, along with the timely provision of any related UAP documents to the Archivist of the United States and the public disclosure of such records. That's fantastic, because it's nice to know that they're asking for every single piece of detail to be sectioned off and kept within the National Archive. So it's all in one place, because clearly everything is everywhere inside the government. And what's been happening in these Senate meetings when, I don't know, they've spoken to Grush and his colleagues, they've determined that they're telling the truth, or at least their claims are credible and non-disprovable at that point until they look further into the government. these senators have probably sat there and gone to particular departments and asking, where's this? Because this person mentions this and we believe them because X, Y, and Z. I can't find this here, whereas I should be able to find this here. And it also possibly alludes to the Wilson memo that was released with some, can't remember who it was exactly, some officer within the Air Force approaching a private industry worker and saying, these UAP research programs, I should be overseeing these. Why can't I do so? The fact that they're being disconnected from these departments, like that's probably something that's going to help bring them all together. Okay. The federal government shall exercise eminent. This is where it gets a little bit. These are the cons on the legislation. So the federal government shall exercise eminent domain over any and all recovered technologies of unknown origin and biological evidence of non-human intelligence that may be controlled by private persons or entities in the interests of the public good.
Yeah.
That
sounds like a positive thing, then, right?
Well,
because it's like taking it off those like
it's a
Dick Cheney types.
Yes, it's a humongous overreach, and also it's saying that you're operating within the United States, or these private industries are operating within the United States. We're the United States government. We're allowed to look, and that is where that legislation probably pushes against pieces of information like the Wilson memo, where it was an Air Force officer trying to get into these private industries and saying, I am who I am. I'm allowed to be here. Why am I not? And these private industries just going, you're not privy to this. Fuck off, basically. So it's a good thing, but hold on. Okay, next part. Whether the material examined constitutes technologies of unknown origin or biological evidence of non-human intelligence beyond reasonable doubt, whether recovered technologies of unknown origin, biological evidence of non-human intelligence, or a particular subset of material qualifies for postponement of disclosure under this title. Now, John Greenwald Jr. of the Black Vault, he tweeted this. He said, lots to talk about in this section. And yeah, it sounds cool, but correct me if I'm wrong here. This allows, one, the government to swoop in, whether you're a private person or a corporation, and take any unknown origin material you may have for the interest of the public good. Neat, huh? In a sense, like you said, it's a good thing. It sounds like a good thing on the surface level. However, secondly, then the government will make the decision whether to reveal it to us or postpone it. Yeah, that doesn't sound like, and he quotes here, I quote, yeah, that doesn't sound like a backfire waiting to happen, does it?
Yeah. What it also means is that if they see, say if someone like, they say a Bob Lazar type invents something or creates something that the government deem as unknown origin or, an interest or, something that, oh, well, where did you get that from? We're just going to take that off you now. It kind of gives the government control to, and this is me just
paraphrase, sure.
Yeah, being a bit devil's advocate with this, I think is that actually it probably gives the government even more control. Like to just go, actually, we're gonna have that. That seems like that might be alien, unknown origin. Can you prove where that's come from? We're gonna have to take it away for until we do a trial.
Yeah.
So we'll have to keep that from you anyway. So then they can do their tests and whatever. So if someone comes up with like a like the original electric car or like a hydrogen car or something that runs on a car that that means that fossil fuels can't get used or whatever.
Yes, yeah.
Government can swoop in and go, this is unknown origin.
The other way that
you can appeal it, but we're gonna have to take it. So
yeah, I also while making the notes, I'd obviously had a think about the government overreach. I don't know whether the word overreach is, for want of a better word, overreach, but it makes me wonder, and I'm sure other people might have this opinion if they haven't heard of the stuff that we're going to be discussing a little bit later on in this episode, but it almost feels like it's necessary to take these potentially deadly items from private industry who do not have to answer to a government, that can do what they want, when they want, how they want. That, as far as I'm concerned, I would... Now, we're all against governments, we're all anti-government this, or not necessarily fully, but like we can't trust them. But I don't know whether it's a good idea to not allow the government to sit there and be like, what we've heard and what we've seen about these things that you have, don't really want Dave over there to go, why is that not working? Drill straight into it and causes a massive explosion or whatever. The US government are probably sitting again, these could fuck it, like, I don't know, bend space-time and just create a massive hole in the planet. Or so just think, I'm just obviously fucking thinking outside the box here. But something
my
so
issue
dangerous.
with it is that these private individuals answer to no one, right? We've seen what they do and how much sway they have within governments anyway.
Yep.
I think it's important that at least some governing body of some sort, even if it is someone as dodgy as the US government or the British government, at least having like oversight to see like what's going on, to go, maybe you shouldn't actually do that one, or we're gonna have to take that off you because that's mental what you've got there.
Yeah.
Instead of just going like, oh, we just don't tell anyone about what we've got here because it's pretty impressive.
And as well, it's probably something to maybe, how can I explain this? Maybe it's a way of calming down the situation where clearly a certain section of the Air Force, Department of Defense, whichever sector within the government's military side, there's obviously someone that knows everything, someone that has offered these contracts to these private industries. Is it a way of the government coming in, finding that person that has given authority to, for want of a better company, Lockheed Martin, to have these items, for the government to then come in and be like, Lieutenant Commander Dave Smith or whatever, come over here, mate. You're not particularly in charge of this right now. Slap on the wrist. Don't do that again, because that fucking thing behind there, what is it capable of? We don't know exactly. So let's get all eyes on it rather than just a few eyes on it that you want to, or compartmentalized your project. We need everybody to be looking at this. We can't have someone sit there and go, that's really fucking, the way Lazar explained it, this propulsion unit is very fucking dangerous. Can I talk to the so-and-so department about this? Nope, you're not allowed. So it's a bad situation. Everybody needs to be aware of, or at least the people that absolutely have to be aware of it. So people can just mix ideas together. Is this as dangerous as what it is? You know, I think it's, John Greenwald says, it's a way that the government can sit there and like backpedal on their claim that, we're gonna make sure these private industries declare everything to us. At the same time, you're probably gonna want someone like the government to come in and sit there and say, sorry, boys, what's this? How many people you got working on it? Just 12 people. Well, we're going to employ all of the fucking scientists we probably can to throw at this. So 20 eyes are better than 12, you know,
but that's just assuming that the government doesn't know about these things and they're not already involved in it.
Right, exactly.
So obviously it's the military industrial complex, which has been basically running America's foreign policy for the last
and as well the religious industrial complex will always come into this. Now, that's part of the legislation. These are just a few little pieces that I got from taking notes, going through the 64-page document that is the new legislation. Again, a lot of it kind of repeats itself in different lawyer talk, because that's what they have to do. They have to explain the same thing 10 times over in every single aspect, so no one can sort of find a loophole. Again, we'll leave the link to the document in the description notes or in the Discord on the in the chat subject title that you're going to be able to find there. However, we are now is the time where
moving swiftly on,
and this is where now, if you're here because you believe in a lot of this stuff, and even more so, here is where you have to forget about reality, forget about what you know. You approach this with no understanding of any physics whatsoever. What our understanding of physics right now in the human realm, obsolete. Do not consider anything. What we're going to read now is from the UAP Max article that's doing the rounds on the internet. The second article only came out today. The first article came out 2 days ago. It's picking up speed on Reddit, on Twitter, as the contents, whether it's a creepypasta or not.
It could be creepypasta.
Yes.
It reads like creepypasta.
It's horrifying and it's disturbing. However, a lot of it alludes to what we were discussing in the episode prior about interdimensional beings and just mass higher intelligence that we cannot comprehend.
They could be standing. Apparently, they could be standing right next to you right now,
and you just don't.
You would never know.
Okay, so yeah, now we're veering into the actual conspiracy side of things. So an article making the rounds within the UAP community was posted by a person that goes by the name of Editor-Chief, but in the second article, he named himself, I think it was Steven Serge or something like that, or Sergey, or something along those lines. On Twitter, he is at UFOS_UAPS. So at UFOs_UAPs.
Yeah.
The article's core begins as follows. And this is me quoting. 2 days ago, someone direct messaged me on Twitter. I can already hear the groans. They said they wanted to talk, read some of my articles, and liked my verve their words. I'll start this again because
liked my verve. That was their words, not his.
That was their words, not mine. So, with a grain of salt, we talked and then we talked and we talked. 3 hours later, my world has been shattered and everything I thought I knew about aliens, disclosure, and UFOs was wrong in almost every way. They are here. They have at minimum 3 operating bases Earthside and possibly 1 or more Moonside, and within our solar system and way, way beyond. I have no idea where or how many. Remember when Kirkpatrick said that we may have a mothership in our neighborhood? Kirkpatrick is the head, I believe, of is it Aero? I think. However, it all became clearer 2 days ago when he was speaking to this source.
I mean, this guy, but that opening paragraph, that's when I went, oh, okay.
Here we go.
Here we go. This is a guy that wants to believe, and someone is, and
baited on it. Yeah.
Someone has gone, hold on, I've got this massive, amazing story, and I can just make it up and show it. But and these people, they want to believe, right? The reason they start a website called UAP Max, and their Twitter handle is UFOs_UAPs.
UAPs, yep.
That they want to believe. They're not going to go, I don't believe you. You just did random off the internet and you've done some AI articles.
Correct,
and
yeah.
AI videos. So that's when I was like, okay, I'm going to read on because it's exciting. It does excite me. Your heart starts beating when you start reading this stuff. Because you're like, I want this to be true. Back to remember reading those time traveler posts and stuff. Oh my God, this is amazing.
Wow.
Then the guy, none of it comes true. And you're like, oh, okay. Well,
a load of bullshit.
And it's the same reason, and before we get any more into it, it's the same reason that we're, people got sucked into QAnon, is that they wanted to believe, they wanted it to mean more. They wanted this crazy shit going on with Donald Trump as a president. They wanted that to mean something, and that to and they wanted to also to know to be ahead of
the curve.
What people and they wanted to know something that other people didn't know, and they wanted to have that over them. It's the same reason that people go, oh, suntan lotion is actually worse for you than getting sunburn.
Yeah.
How is that? How is that true? No, it's actually worse because the chemicals they use in suntan lotion is actually far worse for your body than burns from the sun.
Yeah.
I don't like sunburn, and that stops me getting sunburn. So
so I'll go with that.
Same with the Diet Coke chat, right?
Yes.
Anyway,
exactly.
that's my view. That's how I was after reading the beginning of that article. That's where my heart went straight away, and my brain went all to the same place again.
It's just a natural thing of humans trying to find meaning in the unknown. Okay, so now the editor claims his source is of a high/C-level person within a very well-known weapons and technology company based within the United States, but operating internationally. That's interesting because it also alludes to this apparent massive craft that needed a building built over it because it was so big, which we understand is in control by United States, but internationally.
I just, again, with this, it's like they had to build a building over it. It's like, yeah, then there would have been more then it wouldn't have been hidden. Like, people would know about it.
Yeah,
How quickly Roswell got out, and then they flipped it, but this didn't even go out. Like, so
yeah, it was just absolutely. I never heard of it until then.
Yeah. So that's why I get like on these things like yes, you can keep secrets. Yes, the American government are very good at it. Like, no one knew about the atom bomb until it was about to go off.
Yeah.
Like, no one knew that America was that close, right? So that's that kind of thing. Secret can be kept, but I think having to internationally build a building around an object, I don't know. They have to be so quick on the ground. How quick are they to get to those?
Well, have you never seen the Chinese knock up a bridge in like 2 days or something?
Yeah, but I mean, and we get onto the Chinese later.
Yeah,
but yeah, I mean, unless the Chinese are involved with that building, then it's real.
You never know.
Then it's all real.
Yeah, well, yeah. Okay, so it's based. He works within a company based in the United States, but they're operating internationally. The source goes on to say, "What I share with you will be direct evidence of both the confirmation of and evidence of extraterrestrial entities, both on Earth as well as galactically. There are many civilizations out there. There are 2 currently on Earth that I know of: humans and G.A.N.Z.I. Now,
that's G.A.N.Z.I. or Z.I.
It's an acronym that is being given to us that humans gave the an anagram. No, analogy.
Yeah, it's an acronym.
Acronyms. Oh, idiot. Sorry, I apologize.
When you say it's when you can say the abbreviation or
abbreviations, yeah. Okay, G.A.N.Z.I are from another part of our galaxy. Directionally speaking, they are within 40 light years as the rocket flies. Again, I'm quoting from the article
This is not Dean's deep knowledge of the imaginary race.
They travel not through conventional space-time, but through fabric ripples created by opening an alternate method of travel. They refer to as miasma. And I think the only way I've heard of miasma was from a Black Dahlia Murder song. I've never heard that. It's an
unpleasant or unhealthy smell or vapor, a miasma.
It is?
Yeah.
A miasma. Okay, this, they stated, is the best representation of the way of travel. G.A.N.Z.I are not willing to share technology in any way. The tech we have recovered and are in possession of is made of terrestrial components that are manipulated in a way that humans cannot. To make sense of that is technology that or materials that exist on our planet, but we are unable to fuse in a way that these people have. Like, for instance, there have been exotic materials claimed to be in possession. I think it was To the Stars had one where it contained materials that were found on Earth, but were the ability to fuse them as the way they were was impossible on Earth. The only way possible was in an anti-gravity based environment, which we of course cannot produce.
Let me explain how these aliens create these craft in a really simple but only understandable to English people. It's basically scrap heap challenge, but aliens making stuff without. That's what they do. They scrap heap challenge stuff. So they can only use components. They can build these craft, but they can only build them. The only way they can have craft is if they build them from components on Earth, right? They can't bring components from their home planet or wherever they're from, because they can't just magic components out of nowhere. So they have to use what's the resources here on Earth. But because of their advanced technology, which they claim to be millions of years ahead, they can then create new elements from what
stabilize certain isotopes that we can't, and etc. And a lot more detail will go into that with what they use to do this, or how they use, or what they used and how they do this. Anyway, this they state, blah, blah, blah. I've read that bit already. The tech we have recovered and are in possession of is made of terrestrial components that are manipulated in a way that humans cannot. The metamaterials are created by alien processes here on Earth, and elements and spooky physics are not known to humans, but exist. Again, like you said, but being manipulated in a way that isn't comprehensible to us at the moment. It's like, how can I
it's like
turning water into sand.
Yeah, it's like we've got that. Yeah, it's lead into gold, isn't it? It's like
That's better example.
It's like they can go right. This element needs this, and they can because I guess it is probably possible to turn lead into gold. We just don't have the skill. It's a Sabrina Teenage Witch episode where she gives her science
challenge. Sabrina the
Yeah, I'm trapped in the 90s. There's an episode of Sabrina Teenage Witch where she gives her science teacher the formula to turn lead into gold, and he works out to do it. Yeah, so it's that kind of thing. Like we could turn lead into gold, but we can't. Yeah, water into wine. Jesus. Well, does that then bring us back to the Bible? Have they been here for long enough that they're in the Bible? Water into wine. Jesus was a G.A.N.Z.I.
Jesus was a G.A.N.Z.I. He was an alien.
Jesus was a G.A.N.Z.I, mate.
Episode over. Thanks for
watching. It makes sense though. It does. I mean, like you can then go. You could probably with stuff like this spooky physics and miracles, and this is what I was thinking about on the way here. Is that what it does do? Is it takes things that people thought were metaphorical, and it makes them actually real. Like that's what happened. Like Jesus was a G.A.N.Z.I. is what I'm saying here. Like it means that these things that people go, oh, it was a miracle, is like a ghost and all things like that. It's like it actually just answers everything. It fucks everything up, but it answers everything.
And again, going back to my friend Dustin, where we've had big talks about this and stuff like that. Dustin, for instance, I'm sure I could mention it. He was a Christian prior to a lot of this UFO disclosure happening and just the UAP stuff picking up speed in general. And me and him were talking about the fact of that. It's not that he isn't religious anymore, but his understanding of, I guess, where religion sits in our reality is beginning to make a little more sense. Not that what we've all been led to believe was true, i.e. the Bible and blah, blah, blah. But as you were saying, magic, miracles, and things that seem almost physically impossible, when you relate them to things that you're hearing about that potential aliens are potentially possible at doing, i.e. water to wine, lead to gold, it all starts, the dots start going together. The same way Tom DeLonge has sat there and said that religion needs to be taken as serious within the UAP thing because it's connected. There's stories there. There is evidence within those historical books or religious texts and pictures and paintings of things flying through the sky. You're telling me that thing with the 3 lines off of it with a human inside it that looks like it's controlling something, what's that? You're telling me that ain't a dude in a craft? Shut the fuck up. It is.
Yeah. What it will do is it will answer a lot of questions, and it will but it will also ask so many more. Yeah. But it's gonna blow everyone's mind. If it's again, like we're not even halfway through, we're not even a quarter way through this article yet.
Yeah.
It gets to the point where you're like going, if this is real, if this all comes true, what? Like there's no point going on in any way.
There ain't no point going to work tomorrow.
Because you're like going, well,
what's the point?
Okay, yeah. But if the G.A.N.Z.I don't care about us, right, which we'll go on about, it's like when they find, they must know that we know. Like when we find out, what will they do then? When they go, we got to get rid of them. We got to kill them all off.
Oh, I'm going to answer that question at some point. Yeah. I'm glad you said that because then that's now building anticipation for it. Okay. The metamaterials are created by processes here on Earth, and elements and spooky physics are not known to humans but exist. They simply won't tell us. That's why we reverse engineer and why these vehicles fail. They are not willing to allow technology on this planet that couldn't be created by humans within several hundred years. Apparently, if we jump a couple of hundred years, no big deal. If we jump 1 million and don't know what we are doing, this is bad. Very bad.
We can't be trusted.
Exactly. That's literally it. It's we're babies fiddling around with a gun.
I'm going to go back to the Manhattan Project again. Is that they spent the whole time trying to find out if they could. They didn't ask the questions if they should. Right? They set off
Park,
that. They didn't need to set off that bomb. They didn't need to set it off. The Japanese were surrendering. They were starving to death. It was over. They didn't need to set off that bomb, but they'd put $2 billion into it. So they had to set it off.
Yeah, exactly.
Had to use it.
Yep.
And
why they didn't need to do it, but they didn't even ask
well,
why.
especially the second one, because that went off 2 days later, and
Right.
Japan had already fallen. There was
Yep.
no way they needed to do that. They just wanted to use it. They just wanted to see if it worked. And if you listen to it, I've just listened to like 8-part podcast on this, and what it did to the people of Japan and what it did to the US like soldiers that went in after to clean up. It fucked everyone up.
Yep.
And the testing, all the testing that they did in the US in like Arizona and at Los Alamos,
fucked
and stuff,
everyone
fucked
and
everyone
everything up. Yep.
It gave everyone cancer and it fucked them all up. And the people that fucked up like making the bombs and trying to make ones, like radiation poisoning at that level is insane.
Catastrophic.
And radiation passes through every cell. It's not like a sunburn where it hits your skin and then it stops. It goes through everything.
Straight through you. There's a guy that I work with. It's not an experiment as obviously as catastrophic as say the atom bomb testings and stuff, but he was a victim of Agent Orange in the Vietnam War. He is nearly 90, still alive. Had cancer several times. He's had half of his bowels removed due to it. He recently got $250,000 payout, and it's taken that long. That long, and because he was a proven victim of Agent Orange. So like just something kind of was relevant to that.
I think like Americans, not just Americans, all human beings can't be trusted with anything.
No,
we're not inherently evil, but we're inherently inquisitive, but also we're very proud, I think, as a race.
Arrogant.
And we want to go, or as a species, and we want to go, well, we've done this, so we should use it, right?
Because we think we're the alphas.
Yeah.
And because we're arrogant.
And it's like, we'll get into it now, but we've not done anything nuclear since.
I wonder why. I wonder fucking why.
Yeah.
So, and back to the article, the editor asks, why? The source replies with, because they are millions of years ahead of us technologically, and that we would cease to exist without proper knowledge of how to manipulate the materials. Secondly, we can't even access the materials in our current configuration of physics and placed within the technological tree. Basically, we are not even monkeys. We are protozoa on their tech scale. A protozoa's single-celled organism. Another analogy in the sense of them being like, you have no fucking clue what you're doing. You do not even have the right to even have anything like this in your possession. The technology that they have millions of years in advance of us.
Again, I'd like to reiterate this all could be creepypasta, and it does read like it. It's still it's such an exciting story, and it's another one. Like I say it again and again. If you want to believe it, you will. You confirmation bias or whatever. You if you want to believe this, you will believe it.
Yeah.
I want to believe it, but I also have read so much of this shit in my life that
it's fun.
It's just
it's
so
fucking fun.
But the amount of like time travel of rabbit holes I've gone down. That's the thing. It's like I've been burned so many times before by this stuff. What was it? There was one that we read before, wasn't there? Like that we were really into on the podcast, of one of these like shorter episodes.
Yes.
And it all turned out to be, and nothing ever came for it.
I can't remember which one, but you are correct. There was something that we were all in on.
Oh, this is real. But then, like again with what was it? There's another one that we've gone like, oh, that wasn't like I'm not QAnon, but there was another one. Hellier. The first season of when we were like watch Hellier, we're like, oh my god, this is amazing, this is so real. And then you're like,
wait a minute.
And then you get to the second season, you're like going, oh, these guys are just doing stuff. They're just going around going, let's try this now. Oh, that didn't work. It's still real. Let's go and do that now. That didn't work. It's still real. Like it's they again, like I said, they yes-anded themselves with Hellier. They yes-anded themselves into believing all of it because they wanted to believe so bad. And I think with these kind of things, like this guy, even like I don't think this UAP Max editor guy is outly trying to deceive anyone. I think what's happened is someone's fucking with him.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, at this point, when I got to this part in the article, I genuinely believe someone's fucking with him.
Right, and this is the interesting thing as well, because the source claims that this is what's potentially coming up in these open hearings. Now, so it can go two ways. Some of it can become apparent, or it can all be bullshit. And then the dude that's claimed the source or claimed as the source, again though, source can't be named. Or do you think it might be? Look, I fucking got this dude. Like, look at him. Look at all these likes I got. Like,
yeah, I think what it could be is someone's they just gone, look, because the internet is full of horrible people and clever people that just want they just want to watch the world burn.
Storytellers.
Right? Yeah,
it's interesting.
They just do it because they can. Like again, it's it goes back to the time travel stuff. It goes to the Mothman stuff. It's like these are all stories. Like the story of Indrid Cold. You know, the guy who told that story, I can't remember his name, but like he was convinced that he'd met Indrid Cold and that his family had met him, and he's that goes into Hellier as well. It's like they're just all stories. And people believe we're naturally storytellers as people, right? We tell stories. We do this podcast. We like telling these stories and talking, and talking back and forth like we know what the fuck we're talking about, and we have our things in it. And we're naturally as people, we're naturally storytellers,
right?
And some people are really good storytellers, but they're also complete wind-ups and can just go, right, I've got this. How many waiting for someone to listen?
Yeah.
How many forums were we on when we were like teenagers going?
I used to love going through forums.
Go on a forum and then like someone would go, this happened to me. And it'd be loads of people go, didn't happen. But it was such a well-written story.
Right, yeah.
That you like that YouTube comment we read last week.
Right, exactly. But at the same time, if I was somebody that was hiding a secret like this, and every day I was going into work, there was this thing that was just hovering in a hangar, and I had to work on it, and yet my wife or someone like that had no idea about it, and none of my local close family or friends did. There is no way that I wouldn't say something online anonymously, because those people absolutely could. Because there are some people that, if you think or imagine, there could be some people that are so pent up about the fact that they've been harboring these secrets for years. They can't keep them. They've got to keep them away from the family, friends, and children, and whatever else. That sometimes maybe just a random Reddit post then from a deleted account might just be them sitting there going, I've done my part.
Yeah.
Instead
it's a release, right? Yeah.
Right. Instead of being in the group with David Grush, these people, incredibly brave people that have also said that they're fearful of their life, their career, their clearances, they've got the nuts to go forward. There are clearly going to be some people that aren't within those aerospace companies, but within others that probably haven't been looked into yet or something. There are some people that might sit there and be like, I haven't been asked. No one knows who I am. I agree with these guys going forward. The only thing I can do is maybe create a burner 4chan, Reddit, Twitter account, YouTube post, and I'm just going to tell everyone everything I fucking know, because 50-50 on the internet, someone's going to go, what a load of bullshit, creepypasta, or there's going to be people like me that are going to go, believe it.
Yeah.
I mean, just because I can imagine the fact that there is someone somewhere out there that knows that shit, that one day was just like, you know what, fuck this, I'm going to create a burner account, I'm going to tell everything about everything I know, and then I can walk back happily and say, I feel good about that. I've done my bit.
It's off my
Whether
chest.
you believe me, I don't care, because I just got it off my chest, and I've told you, I've put it out there into the consciousness. It's physically on the internet, but whether it's true or not, I'll let you guys decide that, or one day the government will decide that.
Which takes us on to the evidence that they got the chief editor-in-chief of UAP Max saw on this Skype. So he was shown evidence, right?
Yes, he was shown evidence, and this video evidence was of the G.A.N.Z.'s abilities. Now, this is where, in the article, I actually sat there and, I don't know, I stopped for a moment and was just like, whoo, I don't know. It's horrifying. Anyway, the source shared a video screen with the UAP Max editor, to which what was shown, it allegedly rocked his world. Those are his words. G.A.N.Z.I are not friendly. They are not malevolent either, which for anyone listening means that getting our way will fuck you up. Stay out of our way. We don't care about you. It's like ants. You walk past an ant's nest. If you start biting me and destroying my home, I'm going to pour boiling water down there. But if you're just out there doing whatever you want, I'll just leave you alone. Look at it in that way. To a certain extent, mess with them and their mission, and it will end badly. They equate us to flies. We are annoying to what they are trying to do here, but unless you land on them and bite them like a horsefly, you are simply swatted away, pushed to the side. This is good news, but not for some. In fact, we have lost pilots and ship to the G.A.N.Z.I in monumental fashion. That also alludes to what David Grush has said, in the sense that he is aware of people have lost their lives in this whole entire cover-up. Like, it's documented as well. Lazar mentioned all the way back in the 80s that it was alluded to that he was replacing someone that had died trying to deal with the propulsion system with what they were working with. I must admit, with regards to keeping secrets in these industries, and if you're dealing with artifacts that are of a physical nature and have well, you don't have an understanding of the physics that these things work at within our reality. Someone's going to cut their finger off, lose an arm, or something even worse. Do you know what I mean? People lose, cut, and break, and die on building sites with drills, bandsaws, and whatever. If you're working with something that's an anti-gravity machine or of anything that you do not understand, someone's going to fucking die at some point. Okay. I was shown, and you will see firsthand during the hearings, this is his quotes from the article, not mine, one particular episode of an F-15 fighter jet being disintegrated by a particle beam technology that did not blow the thing up. It stopped it dead and turned to ash. No debris whatsoever. That is fucking Independence Day. No, it's Mars Attacks. It's quite literally Mars Attacks.
But also very easy to fake.
Very easy to fake.
So easy to fake.
Straight away, just off the top of my head. Oh, I remember that in Mars Attacks. Laser, disintegrate. But then at the same time, that was also in when the day the Earth stood still.
Yeah. But also, if you get an F-15 model from a 3D website, put it into Blender, you can click a button. Literally,
you can make that.
You can make it. You can make a very good disintegrating F-15 fighter jet in about half an hour.
And
so
Ben,
it's like,
Ben can attest to that because he's a video editor. He does shit like that for a living.
And I did learn to use Blender in January for one thing.
Yeah,
and it's powerful. It's powerful.
Well, exactly.
So it's it's things like that where I'm going, you could show me that video, and I go, that was a really good looking video. And I've seen loads of really good fake
edits.
Fake videos. So like, there's even an AI tailor the tape for an AI generated tailor the tape for Musk versus Zuckerberg that could be real. Yeah, it's so good. I'll send it to you.
I haven't seen that.
It's so good. It's so well made, and it's just like, this could be real. So it's like,
it's again the problem that we're veering into because there's going to be
this guy he's a good storyteller, and now he can back it up with homemade evidence that just run it through processes, and you can make it look like a really old video.
Yeah. Yeah, so and and I often think about the fact, like he's alluding to, this video that he saw. There's also other. I'll tell you what. I'll finish that and then we'll get back to it. Okay, so there was a beam, green in color. It hit the side of the plane. The beam then separated into 4, went across the fuselage, and then disappeared. The result was a plane-shaped cloud of ash. Nothing else. The incursion happened over the ocean in an undisclosed location. 2 fighters were trying an intercept of a white tic-tac object, which is the type of craft used mostly over the oceans. The F-15 put a target lock on the object and was then destroyed. The other pilot immediately maneuvered out, and the camera then tilted with the plane. This was not FLIR. This was loud and proud and bright in color, and then the pilot got out of there. He claims that what happened next defied everything we know and understand. Multiple round metallic objects appear in front of the cockpit within feet and keep track with the F-15. The pilot attempts evasive maneuvers, but the objects don't mimic his moves. They are almost a part of the plane itself, stuck to the plane somehow. The tic-tac shaped UFO then drops into view and tilts 180 degrees and matches the speed and maneuvers. The pilot is now freaking out. We hear the controller of the ship speaking, saying he cannot see the targets near him. Some squawk and then silence, pure silence. The Tic Tac proceeds to follow or lead, in this case, the F-15. The Tic Tac spins at an incredible rate in a gyroscopic manner. The speed is so great that the F-15 is now being rocked around. The pilot saying he is experiencing rotor wash. I don't know what rotor wash is. And then the thing stops and accelerates instantly away. The round objects unlatch and are gone. This was caught on 3 cameras. 2 were eagle eye cameras, one in zoom and one in telephoto, and then a FLIR. What was most troubling was that I was shown, after the video had been slowed and analyzed, 2 extraterrestrial occupants, small bodies, large heads, big eyes. Somewhere along the way, we had the truth out there and never knew for sure. Now we know that they are greys. The message was clear. That is from the editor's point of view and the perspective. That was a breakdown of what he witnessed being shared over this Zoom call with his source. And as Ben explained, or the way that I see things is, I reckon if the Pentagon or the government could release a video and say, all right, here's one of the crafts in Lockheed Martin. Here is a hangar. It's going to move and float out. It's then going to rise off of the floor. I'm just taking, for example, the one that Lazar said he was witnessing at S4. Made a few maneuvers here and there and then descended to the ground and back in. If you was to watch that now, as you've said, Ben, how many people would believe it? Because no one would.
But this guy is saying that we can't control their craft. We have no way of turning them on. We can turn them on, but they don't do anything. No. So that goes against actually what everyone else has been saying. This contradicts everyone else who said that we have the craft and we can fly it, right? And so it goes against what Grosh said. So we can't fly. No, we can't fly the recovered craft. We have reverse engine. We can reverse engineer and create stuff. But so it's really hard because it's like it does contradict a lot of what people have been saying. That especially Bob Lazar said that he's seen them one moving.
9 in total.
9.
Yeah, so, and one that had physically moved, and others that were being test flown at 4 o'clock in the morning or 3 o'clock in the morning. And
so what he's saying here is that we've only reverse engineered 300 years in the future, which maybe we could have this kind of flight then, but he doesn't say at any point in this that we can do that.
Right. No. Okay. So there's probably a lot of people are asking, listening, that want to know more about the G.A.N.Z.I exactly, who they are and what do we know about them. Okay, so G.A.N.Z.I is an acronym, as we've stated already. The source didn't elaborate on the meaning behind the acronym, but people have suggested it may mean General Artificial Non-Terrestrial Zeta Intelligence. Again, that isn't accurate. That's just the UFO community coming up with ideas. And I imagine the reason for Zeta is because it's the commonly known area, Zeta Reticuli, where the abduction case between Betty and Barney Hill, that is allegedly where those beings were from. That is also the star system that Lazar was alluded to when he said he was given documents on his introduction into S4 as to where these things were. Whether it's true or not, he wasn't known, but pinch of salt with what we're reading. And also, this is an acronym breakdown by the UFO community. So as in the G.A.N.Z.I or Z.I, it was simply said to this person and never explained. So how does this non-government, non-intelligent civilian know any of this and have these items like videos, analysis, documentation, and metallurgy and reverse engineered technology knowledge? Because his company that he works for is the top firm reverse engineering their technology. Arthur C. Clarke said it best too. Any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic.
Yeah.
Which is, again, example of if we were shown a video of any of this technology, nobody would believe it.
VFX is magic.
Yeah, because our physical, and like we said at the start of this episode, you need to disassociate yourself with our understanding of our physical reality and the physics that we understand. Anyway, this is where it's going to get a little bit long here. I couldn't paraphrase any of this because all of it it has to be read and listened to. Here's what we know and what will be confirmed within the next month as Congress has the much anticipated UFO disclosure event, which I believe is happening on the 26th of July. I think that's when the hearing is. I'm not too sure. I could be wrong on the date. I believe that's what I've alluded to. Anyway, the editor goes on to say, number one, they are not friendly, but not necessarily malevolent aliens either, unless, of course, you get in their way. Yeah. Two, we know Earth is a waypoint for something bigger. We have never gotten the answer to what that other thing is. Thirdly, the G.A.N.Z.I deal with us because they are not here to colonize and apparently have a directive to leave us alone, again, unless we mess with their goals. Four, they create only technology that is used in our oceans, skies, and direct atmosphere that can be created from Earth's elements from technological methods we do not understand. They are able to manipulate matter in ways we cannot. Now, with regards to them saying that they focus on the oceans and also that they believe that they operate within the oceans a lot, that also connects well to Commander David Fravor's incident with the Tic Tac when he was, and another incident, I can't remember what date it was. If we remember, we go back to Commander Fravor's incident off the Nimitz. He was saying that when he witnessed the Tic Tac that was zipping around like it was a ping pong ball in a box, he said there was something underneath the surface that looked big, like it was breaking waves, like a coral reef that would water would break on top of it, would leave like a soapy sud looking layer. He said that's what he saw, and something then, whatever was causing these breaks in waves, then descended underneath the surface of the water. Also, there was another incident that was reported. I wish I knew the full details on it. I remember reading it a few years ago that a device was being recovered from the ocean by the US Air Force, or the Navy, excuse me. I'm not too sure what it was, whether it was an atmospheric device that was a weather balloon, like for want of a better word, but it was an experimental device that fell into the ocean, was routine for them to go and pick it up. When a person from the Navy was being deployed from a helicopter to go down and pick this device up, apparently he claimed halfway down that something moved to the surface, picked up the device, moved to the surface, breaking soapy suds over the water, underneath the surface of the water, and then whatever the device was that they were recovering sunk as if it was grabbed or pulled, and then whatever arose to the surface to grab this thing just descended straight down. It took whatever device was floating on top of the ocean and just left it. Apparently, that's a recorded incident to have happened, and I don't know, alludes to a lot of what's being explained here. Yeah. Again, can just be a creepy bastard. I'm pulling information out from that, and I'm going to throw a little bit of that in here just to kind of make it sound legit.
I think what he's saying with number 4 is that they don't create technology that can do like can jump through space-time or anything like that.
Well,
they can only create stuff that works within our atmosphere and our oceans.
Yes. And it's funny because we spoke about that in the last episode in saying that what if they are here in the 5th dimension, but they cannot operate in our dimension, so they have to create these drones to be able to survive in these dimensions.
I think that's what is being alluded to through all of this.
If there's something I was to believe out of it, it would be that. It would be that.
They can't operate within our dimension
physically.
They have to create stuff that can, and almost they create from the other dimensions and push it in
to create it within the 4th dimension. Yeah, and that's also relevant when it comes to what a lot of people have said about the Greys, in the sense that they say it doesn't seem like they're fully conscious, or that they are drones almost.
Yeah,
like they say that they don't have teeth, they don't have tongues, they don't have any sexual organs. If they talk, if they produce a sound, it's like a rumbling, crackling sound from within inside them, like a reverberation system. But as well, the fact that these bodies that have allegedly been recovered, they're not fully conscious. And it's not like they don't act in a fully conscious way. It's like they're being, I don't know, tethered into maybe.
And I guess again, it's the same as with like the Men in Black. They don't seem to be fully conscious beings and more robotic, kind of
drone-like. Yeah. Almost. Okay, number 5. This is big. again, using words that's in the article. This is big. The Earth itself is important to them, but humanity isn't. Let me state that another way. We don't matter, only the Earth. If we are here or not, it does not matter. Though many scientists claim extreme environmental issues are harming the Earth, the G.A.N.Z.I are able to fix anything we do. Should they need something should they need something out of a particular resource or waypoint or something, we don't know. We don't know why they're here, what they're needing, or what they're up to at this point.
Yeah.
They do not like us playing with nuclear power in weaponized form. Take nuclear devastation off the table. Any attempt to use nukes will be met with a total and complete shutdown of human society. The Earth is important. The little bugs on the surface are not. And if we mess with what they are doing, we will cease to exist. We have been warned. More on that in a bit. Number 7.
I did notice when I read these that they repeat a lot, right?
Yeah.
They repeat a lot. There's like, we don't know what they're doing, but they've been doing it for a long time. He said that and he goes, oh, we don't need the people. We're not important. Yeah. It just does repeat himself a lot, which makes you kind of think like, he's either not got enough things or he's just kind of going.
Like fleshing out. Yeah, fleshing out the article.
Out really quickly.
Yeah. Number 7. We do not know what they are doing, but they've been doing it for a very long time. Number 8. The reason they lose probes and even manned vehicles is that they are unable to use tech past a couple of 100 years of our possible technological timeline. Like we were saying, our atmosphere or our dimension doesn't cater for their physical ability. Yeah. And what they're creating, I don't know, they're going to be prototypes to try and deal with. Maybe some of their prototypes aren't good within our atmosphere. Maybe they have no atmosphere to work with. So when they bring something that they've created from their atmosphere into somewhere where we've got air, water, I don't know, anything else, I can just,
different physics though, isn't it? I guess if you're using different physics and then you then try and use those physics in our dimension, then it doesn't work as well.
Just becomes obsolete. But then,
obviously the bit about the dead G.A.N.Z.I don't matter. The fear is their conscious. That goes back to our drone thing, right? The Greys being drones.
Yeah, dead G.A.N.Z.I don't matter. The theory is their consciousness is stored and the biological bodies don't matter. That seems incredibly plausible when it comes to like abduction stories. Everything's telepathic.
That's what we said. We've been saying that for a long time on this podcast about that being it's a different type of technology.
I do believe the aliens themselves aren't technically the Greys.
Yeah,
they are physically the drones, but it's like clearly on a consciousness kind of level. Number 9, they can manipulate DNA, increase lifespan indefinitely, cure or prevent any disease, and the beings themselves are able to transfer consciousness from one body to another. There is a supposition they can do this to humans. Which supposition is a theory, basically.
Well, again, it goes back to our theory from earlier in the podcast: is that miracles and things like that, and instant like sudden cures and stuff.
Like, I didn't think about that.
It doesn't answer everything, right? If this is true, and if it is G.A.N.Z.I, and you can hear me talking now, do what you can to
do what you can.
Do what you can for me.
Please.
I'm on your side. I'm not I'm an ally.
Yeah. Well, I'm an ally that you don't care about, but please do.
All these things about what they can do, things it does answer miracles and these like divine intervention becomes like G.A.N.Z.I intervention, right?
Yeah.
But then they just become like, if this comes out, then they just become our
gods,
our gods, and then that's it. Then we're like, all hail the G.A.N.Z.I, Then they can probably, when they go, well, they know about us now. They just might as well, we either fuck them all, get rid of them all, or we just go, right, okay, you're our slaves now,
or something along those lines. So they have experimented on us, and we don't know why. There are theories that it might be in case they need humans for something. Galactic war slaves? Supposition here. Again, another theory. Number 10, they will not hesitate to kill humans if it suits them.
How many times have you said this one?
Yeah.
We are bugs. Yeah.
I've said that a few times, but let it sink in. You, me, we are insignificant and Earth is not ours. The theory is that life is all around you right now. These beings are able to manipulate higher dimensions and can be anywhere at any time in any place they want to be. They can stand next to you right this second as you read this, and you never know unless they want you to. It is a theory humans have created called multidimensional theory, but the way they operate is best thought to be through brain theory.
So brain theory is string theory, but instead of the strings, they actually have membranes hanging off them. It's like, to use another 90s reference, in the original Super Mario Brothers film, how that
I love the film, so
how the fungi
fungus is everywhere,
and it can pass things through the fungus. That's kind of like what
just exactly
we
like
are
that.
on. We are one of the things on the fungus. That's how I kind of interpret it. And they are the world around that fungus. So they have access to they're Mario and Luigi and King Koopa, and we are something being passed through the mushroom fungus,
like an amoeba that's running.
That's what we are, and they are the world around that. That's how I kind of understand brain theory.
That makes sense to an idiot like me. They have no desire to interact with humans. If we fell off the earth, they'd be fine. You've said that already.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, and he puts brackets, seriously, at this point, if I hear some idiot mention flat earth, I'm going to slap the stupid out of your mouth.
We've done flat earth. We don't need to talk about that.
Yeah, we don't need to do it. Okay, number 13. They are going to be here, and if we play with anything that would cause global harm, that would cause Earth to become unstable to the point of actual physical destruction of the surface, they won't hesitate to stop us without any care whatsoever. I do not think that the atmosphere matters to them, only the physical space the Earth occupies and somehow nuclear destruction. This is why we have told the governments that should they attempt large-scale nuclear conflict, things will not go well. Number 14, they have shared some information out of necessity. What confuses me is where he says, where was it? It's not that they care about the Earth, but the physical space it's in.
So I reckon they think I think he might be alluding to the fact that Earth is a very important part of the universe. As in, there's something where they can pass...
Is it because it's in did they call it the Goldilocks area or something like that? Is it because where we are situated is obviously the best position for life? Yeah. Our area, so that must I guess it's not physically the planet, because maybe they're like, we could create another planet.
It's the space in which our planet resides.
It thrives.
It's the third rock from the sun. It's the right.
Good TV show.
Yeah, great TV show.
Yeah.
Another 90s reference. It's the area in which it's almost like when you buy a house, sometimes you don't buy it because the house is great. You buy it for the location, you knock the house down and you use
there you go. That's it. I understand it now. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's like it's good land.
It's the materials.
The real estate is good. Yeah.
So it's what they're using the earth for, clearly, is what is thriving within it. Not physically the earth itself, but the location. So they've probably gone to so many star systems and are like, we need a planet that's this far out from a sun because this thrives here. Oh, look, your planet's there. We're going to go and do what we're doing.
That's exactly what it is.
Okay, so now, we're moving now on to the Biden administration and what they know. Again, what is being eluded by these people, by this editor. So,
this bit for me was like, surely we should be able to track this right through Air Force One or
the
flights
movements
and stuff.
Yes.
So I think what he could have done here is actually gone, look, here's the flight here. Here you can see that Biden was in this country at this time, so it makes sense.
Yeah, because someone can cross-reference that clearly.
And he didn't allude to that in the into part 2, which makes you think that probably someone has and it never got raised, because he didn't have to answer that question.
Of course, yeah. Part 3's on the way, by the way.
Yeah, and part 4 apparently.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, part 2 was a bit of a letdown. It was just kind of like more of the same. I actually, he was explaining himself, and I think he needs to do that, but he should have done that in part 1, really. But yeah, this stuff's interesting. This stuff.
This is the part where Biden has met aliens, or the claims, and what the administration at this point are knowing with regards to everything going on with G.A.N.Z.I and the UAP disclosure thing. Okay, it starts. You will see a video of Biden being briefed on technology, viewing a full-sized UAP called a multi-domain vehicle that is able to go into space, into the ocean, and through our atmosphere at speeds humans can't handle, which is why we are trying to, and so far unsuccessfully, reverse engineer them. This briefing took place at 3 different times. Date 1, March 26th, 2022. Biden sees and is briefed about a laser that was recovered by the British Royal Air Force. It was quite nice reading the Royal Air Force in that.
We found one. We got one.
Fucking Rendlesham. Go
We
on, lads.
bloody found. You better tell the president we found a laser.
Lord Flashheart here.
We've got a laser.
We've got a freaking laser beam. Okay.
Yeah.
They were also told that China made significant breakthroughs with this laser. It's apparently so powerful that it's able to write words in the air by stripping electrons off of air molecules.
That's mental, right? To even have that thought, right? It makes it like less creepypasta and more like going. I wouldn't have even thought that's the thing. So it makes you think like, okay, it can zero in on an air molecule and write in the sky, which is interesting.
Nuts. Which is that's I don't even know how small the capabilities have to be for that. Okay, yep. Just finding where I was. Apologize. Right, the real one is called the Direct Air LSM. Now, what I understand when they say the real one is the one that's obviously they are working to reverse. Yeah. It is capable of drawing elements directly out of ore and accumulating them in a reservoir and eliminating the need for mining in the traditional dirty methods humans have traditionally used. For want of a better way to break this down to listeners, if you play the game No Man's Sky and you use a laser to mine ore or any material out of a rock, that's what it is. That's what it is doing, basically.
So now it's like, oh, you've taken that from No Man's Sky. You're picking things from games.
Yeah, it's that's what I initially thought when he mentioned that. I was like, oh, that's in a video game. Funny that. Okay, its real use is far more sinister, and the Chinese have kept the methods for this achievement largely compartmentalized. Okay, date 2, May 3rd, 2022. Biden visits Lockheed Martin in Troy, Alabama. So that can easily be traced because everyone knows where Lockheed is, Air Force One, publicly, the facility that makes the Javelin missile, and the guise was that he was visiting to talk about the importance of the facility in the war in Ukraine. The reality was very different. From 1 hour, Biden was sidelined until the guise that he was under the guise that he was going to have a discussion with an advisor on an unrelated topic. In reality, Biden is shown a video. Shown in a video, this author viewed a full-sized orb that had been retrieved fully intact and still contained a laser system. Date 3, May 19th, 2022. Biden is now in Alaska and stopped off to refuel at Joint Base Elmendorf-Richardson. I hope I didn't butcher that name. This video is the most incredible of all. Biden meets with 3 of the G.A.N.Z.I. Biden puts a small device in his ear and a conversation occurs without sound. The video lasts for 9 minutes. Then 4 people enter the area. One of the people is John Podesta.
Possible
nonce.
Chester Bennington's real father.
Possible Chester Bennington's real dad. Possible abductee of Madeleine McCann and good friend of Tom DeLonge.
And John Benet Ramsey's killer as well, apparently.
Yeah. Christ almighty. Did you know he's making a documentary about child sex trafficking?
He's going to die soon.
He's going to die soon, isn't he?
Him and Chris Cornell. Did you know Chester Bennington and Chris Cornell were making a documentary about child trafficking? And then suddenly they both died.
Yeah, and Paul, what's his name? From Fast and Furious. He was doing it,
he was getting it as well,
Yeah. Okay, the video lasts 9 minutes and then 4 people enter a room. One of the people is John Podesta. The other 3 are unknown. The beings leave and the video ends. In September of 2022, Biden names Podesta as the senior advisor for clean energy innovation. December 14th, 2022, America has a breakthrough in fusion. To achieve the scientific fate, a laser is used. This laser has unique properties. The sources confirm these breakthroughs occurred after this company was able to initiate a cold laser reaction from wobbling a previously unknown element that has not been disclosed but only discovered after analyzing and reverse engineering the same laser that was shown to him by the Brits. Biden only learned of this laser after the date and inquired about whether the US had the same. He found out that, in fact, the US did, and it has been studied for almost 2 decades. And the example that they had in possession was functional and successfully decoded only after they had figured out what was making the laser so powerful while remaining cold. Once the element was unfused, only then did they figure it out. That alone took a decade of work. That makes sense because whether you believe Lazar or not, his explanation as to why it's taken so long, or reverse engineering takes so long, because it does demand scientific knowledge to catch up with what's possible. As he has said in the past, it's like taking a motorbike and with the keys in the ignition and putting it into the Victorian era in like the 14 or 1500s. No one would have a fucking clue how to work. But at some point, someone would then twist the key, figure out that's how it turns on, and then through the years, they would be able to construct the materials that the bike is made of. So that's why those things take so long. Okay. Moving on to the last, the final topic, technically, why the G.A.N.Z.I spoke to humans and the nuclear connection. The G.A.N.Z.Is themselves, why did they even talk to us at all? Again, theory-based. At some point, we got in their way in such a manner that they told someone that if they continued down that path, there would be serious consequences. And that, in my opinion, would quite possibly be the Philadelphia experiment, the fucking Manhattan Project, excuse me, because it's common knowledge that as soon as the bombs dropped, that's when they started showing up. That's when.
Well, they said that they've been seeing them in like the 1900s and stuff.
In the 1933, yeah. Oh no, sorry, yes, in 1897, I think there was one reported.
There's been stuff reported, but they properly started showing up and making themselves known after the bombs had gone.
Yep.
Again, which didn't need to go off.
Yeah, Eisenhower was told that the nuclear options were not going to fly. The governments of the world, however, were taking that little atom out and playing with it. We continued to build those little toys, and they grew and grew. We tested, they tested, and then everyone was warned. Whether we stupid humans have gotten the message or not, it is yet to be seen. One thing was said without any ambiguity. Use those weapons again, and humans will cease. Period. Hard stop. This was not in reference to humans testing their toys. It was in direct reference to confrontation, something these beings seem to be extremely interested in and keep very tight watch over. If a large-scale launch of nukes occurred, the message was clear. It won't matter. They won't land, and you will simply cease to exist. All of us.
Well, I mean, it's mutually assured destruction was the reason that the Cold War was a Cold War, right?
Yes, yeah.
But because the thing I don't believe about this is someone telling the Americans they can't do something, and the Americans not going, "We're going to fucking do it."
Yeah,
that's what. This is when I started not believing it again. Is that again? They must have showed them something because for the Americans to go,
actually, hold
we're
fire
not going to do that. Yeah. Which this is, so I'm like, because normally
let's put a front up, but let's keep that briefcase actually locked away somewhere. That's not a real briefcase that's being carried around. Fuck no.
I think,
and it's of the fabric of the it's of just the common knowledge in general of the general public that if suddenly everyone was just like, every country in the world's gonna we're gonna get rid of our nukes. Why are you doing that suddenly? That don't matter. We're just all friends now. Like, I think if something like that would happen, the public would go, pardon? What? So maybe it's a front that the nuclear thing here is because even with the current war, Putin's even sat there and said, if America gets directly involved, we're just going to nuke you. I know it's paraphrasing, but he sat there and said that that's an option. It's all a front. Nobody on the planet will ever use one because nobody wins.
No,
like no one fucking wins.
It's if one goes off, another one goes off, and then we're gone.
That's it. Yeah, we'll just be gone.
But for these G.A.N.Z.I to say, just don't play with them, right? Because we will it'll all be over anyway.
Yeah.
Because I guess what it's going to do is going to destroy what they need the Earth for. Nuking it makes it. radioactive
it
is fucked.
uninhabitable. Yeah.
Yeah.
And along the lines with
And I guess actually radiation, like we said earlier, is radiation goes through everything. So that is dimension free, right? That will just go through everything.
Yep.
Whereas like fire and shit like that doesn't cross dimensions, but
yeah, exactly.
radiation can go through stuff, right? It doesn't have barriers. It
will affect molecules and atoms that we probably don't even fucking know exist right now.
So that does, I mean, that makes sense why they wouldn't want it to happen.
And it makes sense that they keep visiting nuclear test sites and hovering around or shooting beams, because there was a very famous one that I believe is the go-to incident, was the one that was in Montana, because they have documentation of all of their systems going into emergency mode or something like that, or fail-safe mode, because everything turned on and then everything turned off. But they couldn't explain why everything turned on, because it needed two independent or three independent separate functions, yet it all turned on its own.
Yeah, by turning it on, they disarmed it or something, didn't they?
They've probably, I would not mind betting that they probably, G.A.N.Z.I, or if they exist, again, this could be all bullshit. It would not surprise me if they might have superiors that sit there and go, let's go and check on them fucking idiots up there. If they're submersible, I don't know, or whatever dimension they're in, we'll throw a few drones over these particular sites that we know have got all the dangerous shit, scare the fuck out of them a bit, throw a laser down. What's this they've got? Oh, technology. Let's switch this on and just let them know that, we can end you by your own means within seconds, and we're going to switch it off again. Please stop.
Yeah.
I reckon that's personally what they're doing. Keeping tabs, but fucking scaring you in saying, like, we're not controlling you right now, but fuck around and find out, because we can do what we want. Yeah. And we will do what we want.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of the, I know we're getting to the end of this now, but it's one of those things. It's like, what, if they are here, what is there's clearly something about what our planet offers that is important to them.
Why aren't we allowed to know about it?
Because they don't want us to. They don't care. Because again, like they said, we're bugs. It'd be like us trying to explain to a fly why it can't land on our food.
That's true. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Why we're killing you for landing on our food? Like, why have I got a bug zapper over there? There's a fly flying around, and I've got something that will kill it. Because it's the same thing. It's like, you step up, like, why you want to get, you flick a bug away, you slap a bug with a,
and it ain't gonna learn.
Yeah. So it only bothers us when it comes near us. Other than that, get on with life, fly. Do what you want.
I feel so insignificant after this.
If it's true, if it's true, then we are just buzzing around them like a fly buzzes around us.
That's fucking crazy. It's
fully unaware that.
Yeah. Okay. I'm hoping I haven't lost myself just here.
The G.A.N.Z.I don't regard us.
Yes, they don't regard us as worthy of much of anything. And the question was asked, why would they only allow tech to be built by tech within only 300 years? And if they are as old as I say they are, my only supposition is that specific things might literally destroy the planet and they don't want us getting them. This is why when we recover anything, the way it works can't be reversed. At least not the specific craft, or at least some of the more advanced craft. When the vehicles were recovered, there are always a specific area that was never able to be surveyed, opened, or seen, however you want to put it. Simply put, they believe it exists in a higher dimension and you literally can't access it. Theory, not fact. This is interesting because there's allegedly a craft that one of Grush's colleagues alluded toward, Ross Coulthard, that on the outside, relatively small. On the inside, it was like the TARDIS, as if it was a larger scale inside. That would make sense in a multi-dimensional thing, where they said here that there was an area that couldn't be surveyed with whatever technology we've got. It couldn't be measured with let's shoot a laser down there, see how far it is. How far does that laser go? Well, it says 0000 on my device. So it's like either the laser has gone so far that it can't pick anything up. It never came back, or it's trying to read something that this laser in our dimension isn't picking up. It's fucking horrifying, dude.
Yeah. Well, they said that even goes back to Bob Lazar saying there's certain things they couldn't even open, like in this stuff. We couldn't gain access to it. There was no handles. There was no. It was almost like it wasn't like there was no way you can access to it.
maybe it was even a consciousness thing that you
Yeah.
have to be a part
Well,
of the craft.
that's dimensional, right? Apparently.
And where a lot of them say that the craft themselves are alive, in the sense of not we look at alive as being biological and the craft could have a consciousness in itself.
Yeah, and well, he said earlier in the thing, it's like that they download their consciousness to their craft or to their drones. Is that you could literally just go, right, drag and drop your consciousness into this to do it.
Plug and play.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense. It makes more sense to me than that we can fly. The reason we can't fly these planes because we can't reverse engineer them.
Yeah.
It's the fact that they don't work because they are run on consciousness. It's a lot like Mecha Godzilla in the film Godzilla vs Kong.
Versus Kong, yes, yeah, like an augmented reality.
They have to be connected to, and Pacific Rim as well. They have to be. Yes. They have to be connected to the machine for it to work because that takes that much power to be able to control it.
And we're not at the technological advanced period to be able to connect ourselves to.
And we're different physically.
We're not evolved.
And we're not in their
dimension.
That. Yeah. And we're not in their dimension.
It's the same as just go and breathe in that water. Well, I can't do that. I ain't got gills. Better fucking learn. How do I do that? Work it out, dickhead.
Yeah.
It's kind of
exactly that. We are not capable. Physically able to connect to that device or that UAP or whatever. So that's why it doesn't work. There's no way of being able to control it because you need that brain power or whatever it is they have to do it. Your consciousness needs to control it.
Exactly. Okay, the editor continues by saying, I'm trying to be as purposeful as I can here and not make a statement that is fact. It's all theory. The only thing not theory, they can't get certain crafts to work, while others, drone types, will power on or are powered on, but to their knowledge, they have never heard of a craft that flew in the US or other hands. Again, possibly not privy to it, but probably would know if it happened. We would want that tech badly. And that's to say that would not surprise me if there's one aerospace company that isn't aware of another aerospace company working on these projects, i.e. that have cracked it and have been able to fly one of these objects, because the way they're kept secret is so compartmentalized. All the information is, as Lazarus said, he only worked on the propulsion thing. What did you know about anything else about the craft? What was the material? I didn't. I physically saw it. I had no idea. All compartmentalized. You only work on that section. You only work on that section. So when everybody disappears, nobody talks to each other. Nobody knows whoever anyone else is. The information, therefore, is kept so secret and nobody knows fucking anything. So it's no surprise, going back to what you were saying so what are these other things flying around and who are flying them? Because Lazar said that we were able to fly one. Is that because of the company that he was working for? They were able to operate. And they can't comment. This particular one can't comment on the situation with Lazar because, one, they don't know whether Lazar is credible, real, or his story is fabricated. And secondly, that's only because that is what they have worked on and that they are aware of.
Or the other thing is that they haven't reverse engineered these things or gained access to these flights. And all they've done is gone, that looks like that will make a plane fly faster. Let's build something like that. Yes. And they've tried to reverse engineer it that way, but they haven't been able to get the propulsion right. I don't know. I think if we want to try and justify what he's saying, that we've never flown one, whereas Bob says that he's seen them fly. I think what could be the case is that Bob's seen a flight, something that's meant to look or act as if it's that, and they've reverse engineered it enough.
Alpha prototype, but not quite the craft physically reversed engineered. I understand what you're saying.
It's like close enough now.
Yes,
almost like like they put a body kit on something, that kind of thing.
Yes, yeah.
They've taken what they can physically reverse engineer or go, oh, that's how that works. Well, we'll take that. Like, so be it how the wings move or how the material's shaped.
Yes.
But they can't do the propulsion, that thing. They can't gain access to that, but they've taken what they can. They've seen that and gone, great, that will work. Let's take that element and make that for us.
Gotcha.
I think that's the only way I can kind of justify what Bob said and what this guy's saying.
And what this guy's saying. Okay, so in conclusion, this will end here, which I think is quite nice. Stop with the logic. None of this makes any sense. Humans are arrogant. We think we run this planet. Hell, we might not have been the first humanoid species. This is me talking, i.e. the editor here. I want so badly to believe we are the alpha, but I don't anymore. And that is what bothers me the most. And whatever you take, listeners, from what you have listened in this episode or what is divulged in this article, again, we're going to share the link. You can check it out in the show description notes. It reads as a creepypasta. But at this point in ufology, where we are in disclosure, how long this has been going on and where it seems to be going and the speed it's going at, I want to look at every single angle. I want to listen to every single person. I think it's vital that we listen to everything that is possibly being explained to us, because quite frankly, we do not know what reality we could be potentially facing. I am going to set myself up for disappointment. That's how I always will be with the UFO place. George Knapp has put it very well in previous episodes on the Weaponized podcast in saying that there have always been, for years and years and years since he broke Lazar, that UAP disclosure's coming. They're going to release this, they're going to release that. And then there's just massive disappointment. George Knapp has said, he's just like, don't always get your hopes up. Have faith, read what you can, take in information what you can. Not necessarily believe everybody, but let people talk. But set yourself up for failure, because if something good comes out, it will be worth it more so.
Yeah. I think what it is that you don't believe everything and hope that the bit you do believe is you're right and you've not been taken for a fool. I think the things like this is that I love it. I love these articles. I love these posts. That comment. It just makes fun reading.
Lore. It's fun.
Yes.
Like you said, it's fun reading. And why the way I look at approaching this. Obviously, growing up, you've known I've been an atheist for a very long time. As this UFO thing continues, I am slowly getting to the point of being agnostic, in the sense of that I don't believe in the modernized idea of God. I don't believe what is written in the Bible is true. However, what we are learning from a lot of disclosure that's going on, a lot of information alludes to what is written in these historical texts is almost paraphrasing of shit that has potentially happened. Because as far as I'm concerned,
it's no longer metaphor. It's no longer.
That's it.
It's now. It could just be historical record of something that happened.
Yeah, there's a root that these metaphors came from, and the way I also look at it as well is, you see these cave paintings and cave drawings that are found in like Australia, and then some in like Papua New Guinea that are of two different civilizations that never met each other when these things were crafted onto the walls, yet they depict the same fucking things. These beings from the sky with big heads that are the all-knowing and all things, and they bring this, they bring that. We don't know. And it's only in the last few weeks where I've been reading a lot of this stuff and taking in so much information, whether it's true, whether it's not, and how fast things are moving. I'm slowly coming to the realization and acceptance that there could be this. This could be true. I believe that this is potentially possible. I think because I am now accepting in removing my idea of what I think of reality. I'm removing the idea that we are the all-knowing, perfect creation. If there is a God, which I don't believe there's a big man with a big grey beard in the sky that created us. But what I am believing is there's a potential possibility that there is a higher intelligence that not necessarily creating us, not necessarily controlling us, but is
aware of us,
aware of
working
us,
around us, and essentially has not control, but overall final say on what we do. Really,
yes.
Like you can do your own little day-to-day thing, but when it starts getting to a higher level of like infraction on the way the Earth is going,
then we're going to knock on your door and be like, now you lot need to shut the fuck up and let us take over. Because if for years and thousands of years people have been able to accept, there was a man that resurrected 3 days after in a cave and walked out and turned water into wine and blah blah blah,
the G.A.N.Z.I can do that.
Yeah, if there are generations of people that can believe those physical miracles or impossibilities, why is none of this? Why can't any of this be understood in the same vein or accepted in the same vein? That's the way I will always look at these things. If someone says, "Oh, that's just batshit nuts," I'll be like, "But what about the Bible and all that shit?" So that's been accepted by idiots like us for fucking hundreds of thousands of years or tens of thousands of years or whatever you want to say. Why is this now suddenly why is this so incomprehensible to so many people?
Yeah.
I don't get it.
The thing is, though, it answers so many other things like ghosts and the paranormal. It answers those things. It goes, these things, it makes those things make sense, if you know what I mean. It's like it's an answer to miracles. It's an answer to the Bible. It's an answer to where people seeing things or people being moved in their sleep, and it answers all those things. So is it the answer? Is it true? No, but it is another option for what could be true.
It's another option that wasn't thought of. I don't know
till the 14th of July 2023.
That's crazy shit.
And on that bombshell, that is the end of another episode of Not Another Conspiracy Podcast. I'm desperate for a wee.
Yeah. I was going to say I'm desperate for a wee. It's been great. Don't know what episode's coming next at this point.
The thing, every time we go, we'll do the Moon Sunday, something like this happens. Like, we should do this now because this is way more fun and it's in the forefront.
And it's because it's moving so fast.
Yeah. And the next 6 months probably are just going to be update episodes on this.
And I think that's, and if that's something that you guys want us to keep up to speed with, instead of us being like, oh, what should we do? Should we do this? Should we do that? If this is the topic right now that we need to be covering and that you enjoy listening to, definitely leave us a message in the comments, tweet us in the Discord and stuff
Send
like
us
that.
Links to stuff you want us to talk about that is happening now. Like, you know, we've got this Moon episode ready to go, but I think we've both done the Moon to death now because it's like
I want to wait for JJ to turn up with that one. Like, if we can get
JJ for the Moon,
I think if I want to get JJ for the Moon one because I just love his. Somehow I know that he will come up with how Aleister Crowley is somehow has something to do with the Moon conspiracy, and I'm all for it.
Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you.
Join the Discord. There's a Patreon, I think, still. We post on there. We post the videos there. Follow us on Instagram. We never update it. And
it's not fake tan, by the way. I work outside. I work outside all day in 30-degree heat here in Michigan. I'll take my hat off just so you can see the line there. Well, the dickhead thought I used fake tan. Fucking hell. Oh, well. Negative comments are all good comments, so I love it. All about it.
Thanks.
Right. Thank you, everyone. See you again soon.
When it comes to it,
in the thing.
oh, maybe they did. So in the back, there is a
light brown jacket.
cool story.
We're not the first. We definitely won't be the last. We'd like to welcome you.